Did you know your brain generates 70,000 thoughts a day, and up to 80% of them are negative? Yeah, that means your brain is basically a 24/7 anxiety radio station, on loop, broadcasting the same insecure reruns, the same existential dread, the same "what if I peaked at 16" panic spiral, over and over and over again. And if you're wondering why your life feels stuck, why your decisions feel impossible, why you lie awake at night doing imaginary TED Talks about all the ways you failed, you're not broken. You're just overthinking. Like, a lot. And so was I. Until I realized that overthinking wasn't just a habit, it was a lifestyle. It was the invisible filter between me and my own peace. So I made some rules, not Pinterest board rules. I'm talking gritty, honest, blood, sweat, and breakdowns kind of rules. These are the 5 rules I follow to stop overthinking everything, from texting to career decisions to whether or not I sounded weird saying, "Thank you so much," to the cashier in a voice that was 14% too cheerful. This is the part where your life starts to breathe again. Rule 1. If you're going to spiral, spiral on purpose. Here's the thing, most spirals happen in the background. You're pouring coffee or fake smiling on a Zoom call, and suddenly your brain goes, "Hey, remember that one time in 8th grade you said mommy instead of mom? What a loser." And suddenly you're questioning your entire worth as a human being. So now I spiral on purpose. I sit down with a pen and paper and say, "All right, brain, hit me with the apocalypse. What's the worst case scenario here?" And I write it out. All the absurd, cringy, catastrophized thoughts. And 9 times out of 10, by the end of that page, I'm like, wait, this is what's been hijacking my peace? My boss sighed on a call, and now I'm spiraling about being fired and dying alone in a Motel 6? That's what this was about? Because here's the truth. Vague anxiety is scarier than specific fear. When it's just a fog, your brain can project anything onto it. But when you put it on paper, you start to see how ridiculous some of it actually is. So if your brain's going to throw a panic party, at least make it RSVP. Rule 2. The brain is a terrible oracle. Stop asking it for the future. We all do this. You're about to text someone something honest, and your brain's like, "Okay, but what if they hate you? What if they leave you on red? What if they screenshot it and send it to a group chat titled Clown Parade?" And you believe it because it feels real. But that's just your brain trying to avoid risk. It takes your oldest wounds, your biggest fears, and then runs simulations like it's trying to predict the next stock market crash. Your brain is not a prophet. It's a projector. It's not trying to tell the truth. It's trying to keep you safe, even if that means keeping you small. So now, instead of asking, "What if it all goes wrong?" I ask, "What's true right now?" Because most of the time, the pain we feel isn't from what's happening. It's from the story we're telling ourselves about what might happen. And you can't live your life in a hypothetical. Rule 3. Never trust thoughts that show up after midnight. This one's simple. If it shows up after 12 a.m., it's probably lying. Night you is unhinged. Night you has no chill. Night you starts wondering if your entire life is a lie, and if your friends only tolerate you because you have a good Spotify playlist. You've had no food, too much content, and your nervous system is one notification away from collapse. Do not try to solve your life at 2 a.m. That is not peak thinking hours. That is peak, "I'm a failure because I have dishes in the sink" hours. I used to take my midnight thoughts seriously, like they were mystical downloads. Now I treat them like drunk texts from my brain. I'm like, "Okay, sweetie, that's enough for tonight. Go lay down. We'll talk tomorrow." You're allowed to ignore the voice in your head until it's had 8 hours of sleep and a glass of water. Rule 4. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Here's the thing about overthinking. It thrives in indecision. It feeds off of limbo. You ever be in a relationship or a job or a half-baked idea, and you keep going back and forth because you're scared to commit either way? So you analyze, you research, you journal, you ask friends who give you wildly different advice. And your gut is just sitting there like, "Hello? I've been trying to tell you this isn't it, but you're afraid of being wrong, so you overthink. Because if you think enough, maybe you'll land on a perfect answer that makes everyone happy and avoids all consequences. Spoiler, that answer does not exist. So here's the rule. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. It doesn't mean it has to be easy. But if something's right, even if it's hard, it has a stillness underneath it, a quiet knowing, a peace. And when it's wrong, it always feels like force, like tight shoes you keep trying to walk in because they were on sale. Stop pretending your hesitation is curiosity. Sometimes it's just your intuition with the volume turned down. Rule 5. You are not your thoughts. You are the one noticing them. This rule right here, it's the game changer, the soul liberator, the mind untangler. Because I used to think every thought I had meant something. I feel like I'm not good enough meant I wasn't. I feel like I'm a failure meant I was. But then someone asked me, if you're the one hearing the thought, who's the one listening? And that shattered me in the best way, because I realized I wasn't the thought. I was the witness. I was the still, calm observer behind the noise. And that means I don't have to believe everything I think. I can let it pass through like weather. Oh, it's anxiety o'clock again. Cute. Carry on. This doesn't mean ignoring real issues. It means learning the difference between intuition and intrusive thoughts, between truth and trauma, between a red flag and a random Tuesday freakout. You are not your brain. You are the awareness underneath it. You are the sky, not the storm. Let me tell you a story someone once told me. There was a woman in a village who carried water every day in 2 jars. One perfect, one cracked. By the time she got home, the cracked jar had leaked half its water. The jar felt useless. One day it said, "Why do you keep using me?" "I'm broken." And the woman smiled and said, "Have you not noticed? The path I walk with you's lined with flowers. I planted seeds on your side of the road, and you've been watering them every day. The parts of us that feel broken are often the parts quietly making the world more beautiful, even when we don't see it, even when all we feel is the leak. There is beauty leaking out of you, and you don't even know it." So yeah, overthinking sucks. It steals your peace, wastes your time, and convinces you that one typo in an email means you'll die unemployed and alone. But you don't have to live like this, because now you know how to spiral on purpose. You know your brain can't predict the future. You know night thoughts are shady. You know your gut already knows the answer. And most of all, you know you are not your thoughts. You are the witness. You are the stillness. You are the one who gets to choose which thoughts stay and which ones don't get to run the show anymore. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are just becoming someone who can handle the life they've been asking for. And maybe that version of you starts by thinking just a little less and living a whole lot more. If this hits something in you, send it to someone else who overthinks everything, or watch it again. This one's for you.